I went into Boston today and I went to this really cute brunch spot called Source. And I met with this girl that I met online. She seemed really nice, so hopefully I'll see her again sometime. But now I'm just getting ready for bed and I think I'm gonna watch The Walking Dead with my mom tonight. I have been obsessed with The Walking Dead for years, and I know so many people lost interest, but I just love all things zombies and it's so much fun. And I think this is the final season and I'm really sad about it, but I have to find another zombie show to watch or another TV show or movie or something, because like some girls like vampires or werewolves or something. Like I like zombies. I don't know what it is, but I would for sure survive the zombie apocalypse. I have watched so much in that genre and it's been training. It really has. There's this organization called Wands for Wildlife where they collect used mascara wands, clean just like the brushes, and you can donate them and they're used to clean little animals, like wildlife animals, and get them all clean from bugs and things. So that's what I'm doing. I am mailing some out. They're doing a big fundraiser in April, but I have a few that I've been collecting. These are a few of my old wands that I'm just gonna stick into this envelope, and there's a form that you fill out and then I'll send them on their way. And then this is kind of what the form looks like, and then there's the option to donate. I went on 2 bumble bff dates this week. One was on Saturday and I was supposed to go on a hike with her. So I texted her before I left the house, like, hey, like I'm leaving now, heading over to Blue Hills, which is like 45 minutes away from where I live. So like a bit of a drive. Like I like driving, so it doesn't bother me. Like I have an audiobook in my car, I'm very content. And I get there and she says, oh, I forgot we were doing this today. I actually can't meet. So sorry. I'm like, okay, wonderful. So I turn my little butt around, drive all the way home, and then go on a hike with my mom instead, which was totally fine, which I did not mind because I wanted to go on a hike that day. It was beautiful. And, you know, saves me the time of talking to this girl if she's not organized enough to be friends. So like, no hard feelings, totally fine. You're busy, you don't want to be friends. Got it, good, moving on. Then the next day, I'm supposed to go out with this other girl that I've been talking to on Bumble BFF. And we've been talking all week. We have plans to go to this brunch in Boston at Source. So I text her on Friday saying, hey, I made the reservation for Sunday. We're going at 11:30. She says, okay, great. So Sunday comes around and I drive my little butt into Boston. And I get to the restaurant and I see that she has I'm texting her like, hey, I'm here. And I see that there's a text from her saying, hey, are we still meeting today? Like 30 minutes before we were supposed to meet. And during that time, I was in the car driving into the city. So I texted her, I'm like, yeah, like we're still meeting here. I'm here. I'm sorry I didn't respond earlier. I was driving. She said, oh, because you didn't respond, I thought we weren't meeting today. Like, okay. I'm like, can you, like, how far away are you? Can you still get here? Like, we are meeting today. She's like, I'm 30 minutes away right now, but I'm not ready. I'm like, okay, so how fast will it take you to get here? She's like, well, I have a class at 1. Like, so does today not work for you? She's like, oh, well, it did. I'm like, no, if it worked for you, you would have shown up because you knew I made the reservation. So stop talking to her as well, which was fine. Again, like, I want to be friends with somebody who's a little bit more organized than that. So again, making my life easier, no hurt feelings, just don't feel the need to talk to her anymore. Totally fine. So I'm already driven into Boston. I'm already sitting down at the bar of this restaurant. So I decide, which I've been thinking about doing for a long time, is like daring myself to eat alone because it's stressful and like social anxiety and stuff. But I was like, we're gonna try it. So the bartender's like, oh, are you waiting for somebody? I'm like, well, I was. I had never met her before and she decided that she wasn't gonna come today. So now I'm gonna eat alone. He's like, oh, okay, that's fine. What would you like, something to drink? I order a drink, I order some food. And the sweet woman sitting next to me, she says, oh, don't worry, honey, like you can talk to us. She's there with her husband. She's like in her 50s and I get along great with 50-year-olds. I don't know what it is. Like anybody in like their 30s, 40s, or 50s are like my best friends. It's really sad, but I get along great. So I'm like, okay, I can totally talk to you for an hour while I eat my food. So she asked me like, oh, like who were you supposed to meet? I'm like, this girl, because I'm trying to meet people before I move into Boston so that I have a little friend group set up when I get there. And she's like, oh, well, what part of Boston are you moving into? I'm like, I don't know, because it's wherever I get a job and I don't know where that'll be yet. What type of jobs are you looking for? Well, I'm looking for wedding and event planning, but I'm pretty flexible right now because I'm just starting out in my career and you know, you have to be flexible. And she like giggles with her husband. I'm kind of like, oh, like, what's funny? And she's like, oh, well, I'm a florist for weddings and events. I'm like, wow, okay. She's like, actually, we've been meaning to look for somebody to assist us with our job or with our company. I'm like, wow. So she's like, tell me a little bit more about yourself. I'm like, oh, well, she said, did you just graduate? I'm like, yep, I just graduated in December. I went to NYU. I've been spending the last few months traveling and hanging out. And I told her I graduated a semester early, so she was really impressed with my time management skills. And she gave me her phone number and email. So my first time ever picking somebody up at a bar, and it was a 50-year-old woman. I feel like that's appropriate. So then she leaves. Very sweet, very, very sweet. So I have like I'm sipping on my drink. I've already finished eating, but I've got like, I'm hanging out. So I'm talking to the bartender, and he's very nice. He's the same one I had last week. Cause, oh, get this. So the girl that I was talking to this weekend suggested the same restaurant that I went to in Boston with another girl last weekend. And I was going through our text messages like, did I mention this to you? Did I tell you that I went to this restaurant? And no, she completely just picked out of all the restaurants in Boston, the same one that I had just went to the week prior. So I'm like, great, I know where to park, I know where it is, I can get there. So the bartender like doesn't even ID me this time. He's like, oh, like I recognize you from last week. He's like, did you miss me? I'm like, I'm sure he thinks I'm there for him. I'm like, no, I didn't pick this restaurant. He's like, I don't believe you. I'm like, believe me? He's very sweet, very nice, too old for me though. And he's like, oh, I don't really believe you. Like in my head, I'm like, you can believe me or not, I don't care. I didn't pick the restaurant. If I did, I would have picked somewhere closer to me, or yeah, the girl picked it and she didn't even show up. It's ridiculous. But he's like making drinks for other people, and anytime somebody orders the same drink that I have, he made a little extra and he would just walk by, like not even make eye contact, and would just like dump the extra half in my drink. So I was like, okay, I need to leave before he gives me so many drinks that I'm not able to drive home. And last week I went there, was not impressed with the food. But it's very highly rated on the internet, so I was very confused. I was like, what am I missing that everyone likes this? I'm trying to use up all this powder, which is why I'm like going ham on it right now. But why does everyone like this restaurant? Like I got pasta, it's an Italian restaurant, wasn't impressed. I got a $13 mimosa last week, and it was kind of watered down. I was like, if I'm gonna pay $13 for a mimosa, it better be bottomless or it better be good. And it was neither, so I wasn't impressed. This week, however, I went by myself. I got the deconstructed grilled cheese, which was like toast with tomatoes, mozzarella, and eggs, which I loved, so good. And then I also got a morning margarita, a lot stronger and way better. So much better experience this week than last week. And I was totally by myself. And I made friends with the person next to me, and I made friends with the bartender. And yeah, it was great. How serendipitous. And she like wrote down her phone number on this like slip for me. Fantastic. So we'll have to see if anything comes of it, but I am gonna reach out because I feel like it's the universe in some way. She said that she would let me just pick her brain, maybe fill that job that she's looking for, or she'll just make connections in the wedding industry. So all good things.